topic of discussion today is to do with the quadratic equations, and the quadratic equations follow in the theme of patterns. They follow in the theme of patterns and the algebra. So our theme is the patterns and the algebra, and under patterns and algebra, this is what the scholars or examiners are interested in. These are the codes which they use to score us in case we are writing a solution in this theme or a response in this theme. It is what we call a formation, which they normally represent with the F. When do we qualify for that F score or formation score? That is if we do rating, that is if we form the correct, if you form the correct inequalities, but we are not dealing with inequalities in this case. If you form a sequence, if you form a correct linear equation, now this time it will be if you form a correct quadratic equation. So once you form a correct quadratic equation, then you are able to really come up with the O score and F score, which is the formation score. So you have also talked about forming the other equations and then you solve them accordingly. Now, away from the formation score, still in the theme of patterns and algebra, which we refer to as theme 2, there is what we call the manipulation score. A manipulation score, and it is labeled as M2. It is M2 because it is manipulation in theme 2. So under manipulation, the scholars will always be looking at the different methods that you use to solve the equations. They will also be looking at this is for the different methods that we can use to solve the quadratic equations. They will also be looking at the final answers. The final answers as a result of solving the quadratic equations. Now, away from the manipulation score, there is also what we call the application score, and this is the AP2. It is application in theme 2. Under the application score, the examiners or the scholars will be looking at making conclusion in the form of a statement. So if you make a conclusion in the form of a statement, then you qualify for what you call an AP2 score, which is an application in the theme 2. You have made a conclusion in the item or on the task based on what the task wanted. Now, our topic that we want to discuss in this theme, because it is rhyming with the quadratic, that is why even our definitions on the codes are all rhyming with the topic that we want to discuss. So our topic is quadratic. It is quadratic equations. It is a quadratic equations. Now, before diving into the quadratic equations, we need to first of all distinguish between what a quadratic is and what a non-quadratic is. Now, in mathematics, UCE 456, we have what we call linear equations. Linear equations are equations whose unknown, whose highest power on the unknown is 1. For instance, if these are our equations, if these are our equations, x plus 1 is equal to 3, x plus 1 is equal to 3, the very first step is to distinguish between what an unknown is and what a constant is. Maybe let us begin with that. So we want to deal with the quadratic equations, but before diving into them, let us first define what a variable is. Now, a variable in this topic is this is an unknown. How do we know that it is an unknown? It is they are often represented. It is represented, or they are represented with letters, e.g., y, x, m, n, p, w, and k. Yeah, it's not good to use the I because I is synonymous to a 1. It is also not good to use Z because Z can easily be mistaken to be a 2. It is also not good to use an O because O can also be mistakenly to be a 0. So let's not use the I, let's not use the O, let's not use the O, let's not use the I, and let's not use a Z. So when defining or rating our variables, let us always consider other letters with the exception of those ones. Now, away from the variables, they are also what we call the constants. Now, the constants, these are numbers. Any number, for example, 1, 2, 3, -7, -8, and so all those are constants. Any number is a constant. Now, activity. Determine whether the following equations are linear or non-linear. Part A, x plus 3 is equal to 4. Part B, 7y plus 3x is equal to 14. Part C, 2y squared plus y plus 2y plus 3 is equal to 0. Part D, 8y plus 7 is equal to 3y. Then part E, 11y x plus 3y minus 7 is equal to 0. F, 2y cubed plus 3y minus 3 is equal to 0. Note. Let's begin by noting. When do we say that an equation is linear? An equation is said to be linear. An equation is said to be linear. An equation is said to be linear if the highest power on the variable in it, the variable, okay, in which it is expressed is 1. then nonlinear. Nonlinear. Okay, let us modify this to be 11y power 4. An equation is said to be nonlinear if the highest power in which it is defined is a 2 and beyond. Now to our solutions. Part A, we have x plus 3 is equal to 4. Our target is to look for the unknowns in the equation because they are the ones that dictate whether it is going to be linear or nonlinear. If the highest power on the variable in which it is defined is either a 2 and beyond. Now this is part 8, is x plus 3 is equal to 4. We said a variable is an unknown, and because it is an unknown, you go to the equation. Which unknown do you have? This is a number, which means it is a constant. This is a number, which means it is a constant. This is x, it is an unknown, which means it is a variable. Now you go on top of x here, where you are supposed to find the power. Our power on x is a 1, and because we have only x as the unknown and its power is 1, it means this equation is linear. Part B. In part B, we have 7y plus 3x is equal to 14. The variables that we have, there is y and x. We have 7y plus 3x is equal to 14. The question would be, what is the power on y? It is 1. What is the power on x? It is 1. Because our powers on y and x are all 1s, it means that our equation is linear. Part C. We have 2y squared plus 2y plus 3 is equal to 0. Our target is to check the powers on the variables. This is a constant, this is a constant, this is a constant, this is a variable. Our power on y is a square, which means if you find any unknown with a power beyond 1, that is if it is 2 and beyond, it means the whole equation is a nonlinear equation. So since there exists y whose power is a 2, then this is nonlinear. Then you will check out as an exercise, you will check out 8y plus 7 is equal to 3y, 11y power 4 plus 3y minus 7 is equal to 0, 2y cubed plus 3y minus 3 is equal to 0, and it determines whether it is also linear or non-linear. Now, having understood those, our target is to go to this non-linear because the quadratics will be lying under the non-linear equations. Thank you.